What is up, everyone? I'm Carlos, and we're Emerald Sauce, and this is the first part of our brand new My Hero Academia What If series. What if Deku got into UA without a quirk? Before we begin this What If, we would like to thank you all for the support we've been getting so far in all the other videos, and also, if you're another What If idea that you would like for us to do, leave it down in the comments below, and we'll make sure to reply to it. Now, let's get on with the What If. This What If will start in the beginning of the story, when Midoriya learns that he can't be a hero since he has no quirk. The difference is, in this What If, instead of him crying and doing nothing about it, he would actually take action instead. He wouldn't be broken about it, and his mother will be confused and ask Midoriya if he's okay, and just checks up on him. Midoriya just states that he will try to be the first pro hero without a quirk. As he says that, he will start training to be big and strong. Inko thinks this will just be a phase of grieving process for Midoriya, but she's completely wrong. For the following years, Midoriya would train as hard as he can. He would also take fighting classes and learn how to master different types of weapons. He would also learn abilities like gymnastics, parkour, and would study/learn things. Midoriya is a smart fighter and would use his smarts to find ways to counter quirks any way he can. His notebook helped out when he studied different heroes. Midoriya would train for years, getting stronger by using weighted gear around his arms and legs, and will keep them on the entire day and lift some crazy weights and spend time getting smarter. He would be more silent in class, and time passes, and Bakugo sees that Midoriya is getting more buffer and stops talking about being a pro hero. Bakugo will still try to bully Midoriya, but it would only end up in either Midoriya not saying or doing anything, or just ignoring him and walking away. It comes to the final year before being able to go to UA, and the teacher mentions that two students are trying to go to UA, which will be Bakugo and Midoriya. The class laughs at Midoriya, but Midoriya doesn't care and keeps a serious face. At the end of class, Bakugo takes Midoriya's notebook and tries to blow it up, like usual, but before he can, Midoriya manages to get it back and knock down Bakugo and his two friends. Bakugo is stunned for a second, before getting pissed and charges at Midoriya, attacking him. But Midoriya endures some of the explosions before punching Bakugo to the ground. Midoriya walks away and starts heading back home, leaving Bakugo lying on the floor, furious. As Midoriya heads back home, he's ambushed by a slime villain, and even though he's much stronger in this What If, he can't get away from the monster. Midoriya starts thinking to himself that he might die, and begins thrashing and struggling to escape from it, but it's no use, and he's very close to death, when suddenly, All Might appears, punching the slime monster with enough force to separate it from Midoriya and capture it in the bottle. Midoriya had passed out from the attack, but before he fully closed his eyes, he caught a glimpse of All Might and then fell to the ground. All Might stays with Midoriya until he wakes up and asks him if he's okay. Midoriya instantly gets up, freaking out that All Might is right in front of him, and starts thanking him repeatedly for saving him. Midoriya then wants an autograph from him and goes to check on his notebook, but then he sees that he's already been signed and starts freaking out even more. All Might sees that Midoriya is fine and gets ready to head to the police station to turn in the slime monster. All Might leaps into the air, heading for the police station, but then hears Midoriya screaming near him, and then sees that Midoriya is holding onto All Might's leg. Midoriya wanted to ask some questions to All Might, but All Might says to Midoriya to get off of him, but then realizes that if he lets go, he'll die, so he lands on top of a building. They both take a breather, and then All Might scolds Midoriya for what he did, and Midoriya apologizes for it, but then he says he wants to ask him a question, but before Midoriya could ask, All Might has gone to his regular form, and Midoriya freaks out, saying where did All Might go, and says that he's a fake. All Might tells him to calm down and says that he isn't a fake, before coughing up lots of blood that makes Midoriya freak out. The two of them keep talking, much like how they did in the anime, and All Might shows Midoriya his scar that he got from All For One, and says that he can't keep his buff form for too long. He says that he can't keep it for about 3 hours before having to go back to normal, and if he ever goes past his limits of keeping that form, it causes him a lot of pain. All Might stands up and gets ready to leave, and tells Midoriya not to let anyone else know about this, not his friends or family. Midoriya assures him that he won't, but before All Might leaves, Midoriya tells All Might that he doesn't have a quirk, but asks him if he can still become a hero. All Might stares at Midoriya for a while before answering his question. He says no, If Midoriya wants to be a hero, he'll need a quirk, but if he doesn't have one, the best he can do is be a policeman. Midoriya responds, saying he understands, and then All Might leaves. Midoriya stays in that building for a while, thinking about what All Might said. He can't believe that his idol just told him the same words that doctor from 10 years ago had told him then. Midoriya's in that building for a while, still thinking about what he heard, but then snaps out of it immediately after hearing a huge explosion in the distance and wonders what's going on. The slime monster managed to escape from All Might since All Might dropped the bottles when he was trying to get rid of Midoriya in the air. The slime monster has hold on to Bakugo, and the pro heroes that are in the area can't find a way to attack it and save him. All Might sees this, but his wound is too much for him to handle, but eventually pushes through and saves Bakugo, punching the slime monster with enough wind force to blow him away and capture it. Midoriya arrives late to the scene and sees what happened from afar. He then heads back home and tells himself that he will still apply for UA and show All Might that he can still become a hero. Even though he doesn't have a quirk, Midoriya begins training even harder than before, and he's also not that big of a fan of All Might anymore and throws out all of his figurines and merchandise of All Might. He doesn't necessarily hate All Might, he just isn't that big of a fan of him like he used to be, and for the remaining 10 months he has left in school, he'll use that to train for the entrance exam. During that time, Midoriya isn't just training, he's also working on gadgets that could also help him while fighting. The 10 months pass, and both Bakugo and Midoriya apply for UA, and after school, Bakugo starts to fight with Midoriya. Bakugo immediately attacks him with a barrage of explosions, but Midoriya manages to blind him with a makeshift smoke bomb he made during the 10 months of training. Midoriya put some flour into a little bag and threw it at Bakugo, blinding him, and then Midoriya knocked him down to the ground. Midoriya looks at Bakugo with a serious look and states that he will become a hero, even though he doesn't have a quirk. Time passes, and Midoriya heads to UA. He's too excited and accidentally stumbles on himself and is about to fall, but then is caught by Uraraka with her quirk. She introduces herself, and so does Midoriya. He isn't that nervous around her or anyone like he was in the anime. They all go inside, and Percent Mike explains what the entrance exam is all about, and he even explains hero points, and Midoriya pays attention to everything. It is now time for the entrance exam, and Midoriya is much ready for it, and doesn't fall behind anyone else. He punches some of the robots, denting the metal and ripping off the wires, or using his surroundings as weapons to take them out. He also saves some kids who are having trouble with robots for hero points. Time passes, and the teachers notice how high Midoriya is moving up in the leaderboard, and are impressed. Midoriya gets more points, but then the giant robot appears. Everyone else starts to run away, but Midoriya sees that Uraraka is trapped underneath the rubble, and rushes to save her, pushing aside any rubble and gets her out of there. They all get far enough, and Uraraka thanks Midoriya. The exam has ended, and Midoriya has done much better than he did in the anime, and feels pretty confident in himself. Aizawa is impressed with Midoriya, and wonders what his quirk could be, but when he goes to check on Midoriya's personal info, it is stated that he doesn't have a quirk, and Aizawa is shocked. He goes over to Principal Nezu, and tells him that he wants Midoriya to be in Class 1A. Principal Nezu allows this. Instead of All Might sending a video to Midoriya, saying he got accepted, Aizawa would send him a video. Midoriya is waiting in his house for the acceptance letter, and when it arrives, he's nervous to open it, but when he does, he sees the video Aizawa made for him. Aizawa tells Midoriya that he's accepted into UA and that he'll enroll in his classroom. Aizawa also states that since Midoriya doesn't have a quirk, he'll need some weapons or support items, and Aizawa also tells him that he'll have extra classes with him to train on using his capturing tape. The video ends, and Midoriya is happy that he got into UA, and his mom heard the news and gives him his superhero costume with the All Might inspired hood, since she didn't know that Midoriya wasn't into All Might anymore. Midoriya gladly takes the costume, but he doesn't wear the mask. Midoriya goes to UA and meets his classmates, but they don't know he doesn't have a quirk, and they all act the same as usual. Aizawa walks in and immediately tells everyone to put on their gym clothes and go outside. Aizawa explains what they're gonna do and says that he'll expel anyone who's not good enough. They all get scared when hearing this, and they try their hardest with every exercise. Midoriya does well in all of the exams, even in the ball throw, just not as good as he did in the anime. All Might is even watching Midoriya and is surprised not only because he got into UA without a quirk, but also that he got into Class 1A. The exercises have ended, and Midoriya isn't in last place this time. He manages to get 8th place on the leaderboards. Aizawa doesn't expel anyone, and even goes up to Midoriya and says that even for a kid that doesn't have a quirk, he did pretty good. And after saying this, everyone in the class is shocked and confused that Midoriya doesn't have a quirk. Well everyone, that's the end of this part of the My Hero Academia What If. If you enjoyed, leave a like, consider subscribing, and share this video with your friends. Also, if you have another what if idea that you would like for us to do, leave it down in the comments below, and we'll make sure to reply to it. That's all I have to say, and thank you all for watching. Peace.